at that point.
It did.
I don't mind seeing Border. I think it'll be a nice change. We haven't seen it so far this weekend. It's been banned out pretty much throughout, so I think it'll be a nice change of pace. These two teams are probably perfect teams to be on here. You know, the strats go out of the window a little bit because we all know what everybody's going to do. It's going to be top floor pushes into CCTV or into office, and, you know, that's what we're going to get. But what we are going to get is a lot of spicy gunfights between these two.
I'm really upset we just started casting because I thought of a great meme for this map as well. You know, the Lord of the Rings one where they're like, I have no memory of this place. It would have been great to say we're going on to Border and then post that. It would have been beautiful. But we are stepping in. Capital book and mirror your first bans book. No huge surprise. Of course, this is a map where soft destruction is heavily favoured, and given we saw Novice playing it the majority of MIBR's attacks, it makes perfect sense to deny him one of his preferred operators. Round number one, we're going to see Liquid starting off on defense. Let's pray their defense goes better here on Border than it did on their own map pick on Clubhouse.
Something needs to change for them. They've lost, I would suggest, a bit of confidence there. They've certainly taken a knock coming out of that first map. They got themselves a good attacking lead, 4-2 on Clubhouse. But then once again, MIBR just booked the trend, defied the odds, and got themselves to the win. And it just really was something to see. I think if we had to look towards, you know, was there any mistakes made by Liquid? I have to question, particularly that third defence of Church and Arsenal. I think they just stuck at that for a little bit too long, especially based on how well MIBR were attacking it. They were never really close on the first two to defending it, and they just seemed insistent on going there again. If there'd have been some significant changes made to the way they were defending it, then fair enough, but they just seemed to be caught on the back foot from the very off. They lost the man after 30 seconds, and it just sort of crumbled from there. But we're going to see what their ability is to reset here. How much can they come away from that match, write it off? That's one done. There's another two to go potentially. Let's not forget, we are in the upper bracket final here. The winner will be going straight into tomorrow's grand final with the opportunity to play not only for the cash prize, but also for the much coveted 6 Invitational 2020 spot. And they will take a map advantage with them over the lower bracket final winner.
It is going to be one of those where, for MIBR, it's the story where I think coming into this tournament, very few folks gave them any hope of actually making it. If I believe or remember correctly, it was 82% on Strafe, one of our sponsors for this event. Their vote on there, or the public's vote, was 82% for G2. Yet here they are, facing the prospect of getting a fast-track ticket into the grand finals, and now we're on their map pick, which makes things even more terrifying. Now, in preparation for the potential aggression that might come out of Liquid, we are going to see the Nomad get brought up here. Not that it's going to help us, he's already gone down. 2 kills early on, both for Nesk. He runs into an air jab and will lose his life, but the damage has been done. The Thermite is gone, and getting that west wall open is going to be impossible for them, unless it hasn't been reinforced. But then, hell, what the hell are you doing defending a site that does not have a reinforced wall set up?
Nesk will will be more than happy to take that trade for his life as the Jaeger. Once the ADSs are deployed, they are quite happy to get that Jaeger out on the roam. If he loses his life, he loses his life. But if he takes 2 with him, and one of those is the hard breach, then more's the fun for them. Sledge still has the ability to get up there and open that soft wall, but it's going to be a dangerous ask because they're playing, I think it was PSK potentially, in there at the half wall. It's going to make it very, very difficult to approach. No, PSK's downstairs. It must be the Maestro then, if I had to make a guess, who's playing in there at the half wall and will just be able to hammer through that soft wall quite literally in the opposite direction if Sledge goes anywhere near it.
And look at the spread of players as well, literally playing across both floors, the entire width of the map being used as Novice finds a kill onto Pala. This is all going both ways so far, to be fair. 2 kills across onto Liquid as well, as PSK will find the trade back over. This leaves the Zofia and the Thatcher to try and do everything here against 3 with 60 seconds left on the clock.
So, in come the drones. Things have slowed down a little bit. There was not much of a choice for MIBR. Nesk with that ridiculous double kill on the jump out has just thrown the pace through the absolute roof in the first 20 seconds of the round there. So it has taken a little bit of a settle down now. Cyber looking.
You've got so much utility.
He knows there's somebody there. Moringa knows that there's somebody coming. Cyber will win that one out with a little cat and mouse. We've got Sexy Cake now, has moved himself over to the reinforced wall away from half wall, but he is on site alone. This could get dangerous. Liquid do not want to lose this round from here because the mental blow will be huge. After Nesk has taken that jump out and got 2 kills, if they cannot secure this, Nesk is going to be asking big questions, and I'm sure he's going to be loud in the comms, wondering what he has to do. PSK, however, has not been cleared out. The time is running down. Cyber's heading for site. PSK, that was a brilliant kill. He just moved round on metal stairs. Got the kill onto the guy coming out of the customs area. He must have heard the movement. Brilliant plays from PSK there. Solid from Liquid. MIBR with only 2 left on the board for most of the round. Just struggled to get themselves into any sort of position to execute with any time left on the clock and had to rush it in the end.
Nice start for Liquid then, showing that they can indeed win defensive rounds here against another team from their own region. Second site we'll be going to is Ventilation and Workshop. I've got to give you a huge shout out, by the way. Dino from OGA has turned the screen to face us, and I am in heaven right now. God bless you, Dino.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. The original GOAT, as you say. I know you're going to miss the most about this when we're done today, is hearing you say goat and Sexy Cake and things like that.
You just ring me up whenever you want to hear
I will, mate. I'll ring. In fact, that's going to be my alarm. Can you record me? Record me a clip of you saying Sexy Cake, and that can be my alarm in the morning. I'll wake up in such a good mood.
Maybe it could be a new business venture for me.
Maybe it can. Upstairs going to be the starting point then. Double ADS being placed down there right near that western wall as well. So a very strong vertical hold, no doubt, going to come through here, which makes a lot of sense. When you're playing upstairs, again, like you can on many sites, you can hold upstairs and look to play on the downstairs by holding angles in towards the key doorways in towards site. If I remember correctly, there is an excellent analysis of this hold actually by Reaper, former analyst for Rogue, when he analysed Empire versus G2. Definitely worth checking that out at some point, where he breaks down the way that G2 managed to break it apart with a very specific attacking lineup. It's very tough to do otherwise, although normally you'll see a castle brought along by the defenders as well. Let's see if MIBR can make it work without such an operator on their side.
Objective number 1 then for Liquid is to to hold that top floor. MIBR looking to come in and get it cleared out. We can see 2 operators over there in Armory and Lockers. Office and CCTV looks like it's largely been given over to the attackers.
Ooh,
but how about that? Power just shouts, sit down, as he takes the head off Novice, and that is huge for his team there. He's just really open things up. Sledge off the board, so there's going to be a lot less vertical play for them to worry about in the site, and it's also now slowed down that MIBR attack and just forced them to think twice. The armory wall will now be opened up, but we are still 5 versus 4. We are a minute gone in the round, and there is no real progress other than opening that wall into actually taking any top floor control. If they lose another man or 2 here and have to start pushing downstairs directly onto site with men still upstairs, then you might as well call the round there.
Still trying to focus on getting this wall open, like you say, and let's not forget, this isn't even the site itself. This is just getting rid of the roamers upstairs, who will make your life hell if you try and push in downstairs without first removing them from the upstairs floor. We do have a bit of a flank coming in from Bullet here, mind you. He's kept himself alive with a couple of air jabs deployed. Maybe that third one needs to be put to good use soon. That little sandwich is starting to come in now. They've got both sides starting to be pincered out. They've got a couple looking to push in downstairs at the same time as well. Almost waiting for the go-ahead, the green light from the upstairs once it has been cleared out. Going to be a trade immediately from PSK onto Enking after he's picked up Pala here as well. The dive comes in. He's playing the other side of Sandwich here over in Dark. Going to go for the spray. Finds it. Bullet brings down PSK, and they now have control of this top floor. However, Nesk is still lurking nearby as he's held off more towards the secondary site. C4 comes out. Not quite going to get the catch, but now they know that he's there. The bullet lines are a dead giveaway. A great spray from Bullet gives him a double kill in this round. They have control. There are 2 left alive on site for Liquid, and MIBR can taste blood.
Things get difficult now. Once that top floor is cleared out, there is still a reasonable amount of time left on the clock. 30 seconds to go here. Cyber moves in with a big double. 2 headshots, Moringa and Sexy Cake. And MIBR send a message that they are here to play as well. 1-0. This is exactly the same as we saw at the start of the last map. One round in either direction. Some big kills. And I'm starting to lose my breath at this one because this is going at breakneck speed and it is a very exciting game.
It's just how you want it. Again, this is likely a preview of what we might see tomorrow in that grand final, albeit a best of 5. Because, let's be real, we saw the American teams play earlier on. There were some mistakes and slip-ups that you just know the LATAM teams are going to punish so ridiculously hard if they keep on happening. That's my fear for those two teams tomorrow when it comes to having to face against the loser of this series and then potentially press on into the grand final if they can beat the first one. But with how wild OGA has been so far, it's anyone's guess exactly how tomorrow can look to go. But one thing is sure, the LATAM teams are the ones looking like the most solid. Now we're moving to playing inside a supply instead, so not always the most common site. It's kind of a flip-up between whether you play this side or instead you play towards Battering Tellers. In this case, it's looking towards playing on this west side of the building. The one risk you've really got to look out for, though, is that jump coming into supply from the window. You have to make sure you've got someone watching it at all times, or you've got some gadgets there just waiting on someone to do so. Again, another very Empire-esque setup coming through here as well. You hold the upstairs, you watch all the downstairs doors, you make it almost impossible for them to be able to operate downstairs without first clearing you out on the upstairs.
Security, CCTV is absolutely essential to this hold. You need to keep hold of that for as long as you can. Custom supply is not an easy site, but we are seeing, interestingly, on Border, a bit of a resurgence for a couple of the sites. Custom supply, Tellers and Bathroom particularly, are seeing a lot more play, and that is largely down to BDS. They come onto this site and they take those bottom floor sites immediately. They're their primary choices. They're not going to Armory Lockers first. And I tell you what, their win percentage on there is ridiculous, and they are showing that it is more than possible to come there and consistently win. As it is, security is going to be a really important point of this round. Who keeps control and for how long? We've got Novice with Sledge on the board. We've got Cyber, destructive grenades. We've got Hugzord potentially with thermite charges if they're not being used on the detention wall. All that can be used on the CCTV floor and hatches to open it all up and to really apply pressure into sight. We can see the importance being placed on it. We've got Pala in there. I believe Nesk is in there with him. We've got PSK over in Armory. We've got 3 top floor. MIBR cleared them out very effectively last time. There was still a minute on the clock when they got top floor control. If they can do that again here, it's going to be a long day. But how about that from Sexy Cake? First kill onto Novice. I commented on the fact that he was on the Sledge and now he's off the board. He was singularly the most important piece of utility that they had in this round. Pala and Nesk following up with 2 of their own. The top floor hole being far more successful this time. 5 versus 3 now for Liquid. I don't see this round going anywhere other than Liquid.
I'm not actually quite sure where the Kite is playing here as well. I've been looking out for him constantly, but always seems to be just about missing out on him. Either way, the kills are flying across, as you say, for MIBR, and their attack has been drawn to a halt pretty quickly. Now we're finally starting to see them go for a push in towards security, but with one line down, they'll be trying so hard to find that angle. It's not quite going to be the case. Into a 1 versus 5 for the Thatcher, and M-King has got it all to do for himself.
I've honestly got a feeling that this is the way that this map is going to go. It's going to be one round back and forward. M-King with a beautiful headshot onto Pala there, just getting a little peek onto a sliver of his headgear and just taking him out there. He's moving in through Fountain now. He knows that he's probably got one in Archives. Maybe he's got a call. He's coming through there. He's just on the far side of the wall in the Armory Lockers metal detector area. He's actually in a small office, I think, just holding an angle. M-King will step through. Shots onto the wall. He's pinched beautifully as PSK moves in and gets the kill, and that will be round Liquid, and they take the advantage in Border again.
Well, as things are getting set up this way, it's coming out quite nicely for Liquid. This would end on a 4-2 half if they can repeat this record they've just had in the first 3 rounds. Couldn't quite clutch out Workshop and Ventilation, otherwise everything has been all colours Liquid. Going back to that first site once again, going upstairs to Armory and Lockers. Let's see if they can turn this one into a success as well.
I think they need to at this point. Liquid need to get a little bit of space between them and MIBR here. I don't feel that they want to be coming into the second half of Border at 3 apiece. They want to give themselves an advantage. I know they did that on Clubhouse and it wasn't sufficient. MIBR have shown that they are a very capable team in the second half of these maps. Whatever they are facing, whether they're at a big deficit, whether they level, it doesn't matter. They seem to accelerate as they go. They don't take the foot off the gas and they just pick up pace as they go through each map. It's as if they get more and more comfortable and grow into the map more and become more and more dangerous, and that's something Liquid need to be aware of, and I really think they need to get themselves a good advantage before they get to that second half stage.
Can that alarm I asked you for earlier on be dangerous, sexy cake? That's another word that fits so well with the accent.
Is that what you'd like?
I'm going to start layering up sentences soon. It's going to be wonderful.
Just get a soundboard of me.
Absolutely. I'll start playing it on cast in future. Whenever I cast a Latam team now, I've got to start bringing you along. But we're looking at it now. Mute and Mozzie being brought by Liquid multiple rounds in a row. Back in round 1, they brought the Doc in place of the Mute. So this time around, it's about knowing that they're denying so much intel away from MIBR, and maybe that's where Liquid is starting to find some advantage. We've seen already several times today. We've said it a couple of times in the last map as well. Both of these teams have been victim to losing drones early on, just kind of throwing them when trying to find one person, losing 2, maybe 3 drones, and having none left for the middle of the round. Best way to help achieve that earlier on is to deny as much as you can with the Mute jammers and going through with the Mozzie pests at the same time.
M-King with a great kill onto Power, putting that IQ ACOG to good use there, getting a long line of sight from the ventilation units inside the map and getting himself a kill, which is a great one. Mute off the board. That's a potential C4 gone as well. Those Mozzie drones now being put to good use. We did see some good reserve shown on the MIBR side. The drone was going in. He got the warning for the Mozzie pest and just backed off so that he didn't lose that drone, but it is a little bit difficult sometimes to avoid them completely. We've got Sexy Cake up on the top floor there, just taking out another drone, and information again is going to be so key. In comes the grenade, but the ADS has already predicted that one and will take it out as it flies in, so that keeps Sexy Cake safe, but I'm pretty sure they're aware of his location in and around Archives and Armory Lockers. PSK will square things away with a kill onto Bullet, so that now leaves us 4 versus 4. A minute and a half and not too much progress directly into the map yet for MIBR, but that is not to say that they haven't made enough progress. They've got themselves a kill. They are starting to surround Liquid here, but what they're not doing is forcing them to move. Look at Nesk there. That's 20-30 seconds that he's been able to just lie on his stomach prone in the CCTV area and hold an angle. He's not been moved, he's not been threatened, he's not been challenged, and that is something that they're going to have to improve on.
Well, Novice has managed to rotate to completely the other side of the map, but still that's going to be all in vain as Nesk will find that kill. And 2 minutes in, we're still seeing MIBR trying to yet find their way inside the building. They're all stood at windows, all stood at doors, still on drones, trying to find where these last couple of remaining members of Liquid are, but they're not exactly the healthiest. 2 of them on flashing health bars, the other 2 on 75 HP. MIBR can do this, but they've got to start moving soon. We've already seen from both of them on the last map what happens when you start wasting too much time and leave it down to the timer hitting those final crucial 30 seconds. Nest finds yet another kill in this round, now making it into a 4 versus 2. Make that a 4 versus 1. This is Liquid's round to lose.
Sliding quickly in their direction, Sexy Cake picks up another one on the round. Great performance from him. And Nesk, how about it? He was left to his own devices in security. He was led prone for 20-30 seconds. Could have been killed from beneath, could have been killed from the window. I don't know whether he wasn't seen, whether a drone wasn't sent in, or whether he just wasn't challenged. But the pinch was there to be had. They didn't push, and he got 2 kills. Simple as that. He moved up into break room, got one onto Novice at the break room door, and then he moved himself into 90 corridor, and I think the second kill maybe come through to the ventilation window area somewhere around there. So you have to disrupt him. He's 6-2 now. He's starting to find his head. Him and PSK, 11 between the 2 of them. You need to be careful, MIBR, because this is going to start slipping away from you if you let those 2 get out on the roam and start hurting you like that.
It's really interesting looking across both rosters and looking at where the kills have sat so far in this tournament. On the side of Liquid, you're looking at Pala, obviously having an incredible game yesterday, breaking the LAN record. So does Nesk, equally in this game, having a great performance. And Moringa earlier on Cafe had the game of his life, playing vertically with the shotgun, SAS operators were absolutely his jam earlier on. On the other side for MIBR, you're looking at Cyber, you're looking at Bullet, you're looking at Novice. Novice especially yesterday, incredible C4s being landed on Villa. And Bullet today is again having fantastic games, as you've mentioned already a couple of times. Both of them have got huge fragging potential players, but the problem is if they don't step up when it counts in this game that gets you into that grand final, what can you hope for?
Exactly. MIBR are just needing to look towards, I mean, Cyber, have you really seen much from him this game? I've not called his name that often. I've just not really seen too much impact from him. And that's what they need. Cyber Novice to be coming in and making those impact plays. Hugzord, great support player, but just hasn't really been too effective. Hasn't really opened up lines of sight that have really sort of dominated the round for them. And I just don't feel they're working as well as a team as they have done previously. If you look at the teamwork for those Church and Arsenal attacks, it was absolutely something else. You look at it now and it's just faltering a little bit, and they're not managing to identify when Liquid players are playing on their own, roamers are singled out, and they could move in there as a pair, as a trio, and get those kills. But we will see how the game progresses. Liquid must be feeling pretty comfortable at the minute though. We're looking ventilation here for round number 5. We've got 3 men on top floor again. Last time around, MIBR did win this site. They got in and they cleared out that top floor very well. Cyber coming in, answering his critics. Our question is being put, and he gets a kill onto Nesk, and what a good kill that is. Top fragger off the board, and that might just start accelerating things for MIBR here. But Liquid, PSK, second top fragger, comes in and says, I've got my buddies back. Kill onto Novice, and that squares things away. 4 versus 4.
Into a spot, like you say, 4 versus 4, not quite the end of the world, but 90 seconds on the clock. Every second plays in the favour of Liquid. Interesting, last time they won, they didn't get the opening kill. It was Pala who brought down Novice. This time round, it's going to bring down Cyber and make it a 4 versus 3. So still advantage over to Liquid right now. They don't have a Thatcher to be able to deal with those Maestro cams sat at the back of site right now, so everything they're doing is being seen. But Bullet, clearly not being seen, will push his way through main corridor and now find himself on the south side of these sites, essentially splitting the defense in half and leaving PSK a little bit isolated here off towards the east side of the map.
Isolated indeed, but with only a minute left on the clock, there is time, but they can't take all day over this. They need to get this top floor control. There's still 2 men up there fighting together. It looks like MIBR might actually be forgoing that largely and just heading down to site, recognising that Moringa is down there on his own to be challenged. He's got the shotgun. It's going to be close range. It's going to be CQC style, and he moves in and will put shot onto the thermite. It actually downs the bullet as well, so he does damage to 2 operators there. Out comes the gas grenade just to prevent that push. I think now one of his colleagues, PSK, has got himself in there and joined him as well, so that now leaves us 3 versus 3 with 2 men on site. We still have Moringa up above, I believe, on the Moringa's downstairs, PSK's downstairs. We've got the Mozzie upstairs above, just holding those vertical angles. He will get a kill from it. PSK gets one from inside. In comes the third, PSK again. As I said, you can take Nesk off the board, and PSK is going to step straight into the breach. That's the danger with Liquid at the moment.
They have broken that curse. They have won the site they lost last time around, so you can anticipate the final site will be supply and customs once again. Yes, it will. Timeout being called by MIBR as well. Clearly not too happy in the spot they find themselves in. Expected to find more rounds here. Just continuing the trend, though, of teams picking maps and then going on to lose them quite dominantly. 4-on-1 right now, looking to be a 5-1 if it goes the way this did last time round. And let's not forget, last time it was far from a close round. It was pretty much dominant entirely by the side of Liquid. Now puts us at 5-1. That gives 2 rounds for MIBR to make mistakes, and Liquid will take this map and force us through to map number 3.
The way that Liquid are playing so far, I think you put them on attack, I think they're going to be very capable. Border is a site where you've got Armory Archives. Yes, you would expect the defence team to win it. Ventilation can sometimes be a coin toss. All of the bottom floor sites can be a coin toss. They can be difficult. If you lose those couple of initial gunfights on your entry battles and they get top floor control, all of a sudden it slides away from you very quickly, and that is something at the minute that Liquid are excelling at. We're seeing PSK, we're seeing Nest coming in, hitting shots left, right and centre, and you know, look at Nesk's stats through the close qualifiers. 23 opening kills. He's an absolute monster when it comes to entry. If you put him onto his favoured attackers, send him into the building, there's a very good chance he is going to put his team at a good advantage.
PSK being 8-1 is just terrifying to deal with if you're on the side of MIBR. No one can stop him, quite seemingly, literally. Final change coming through there for them is going to be the IQ being deployed in place of the Lion, a change that they made last time. In fact, no, it wasn't last time around on this side. It was when they were attacking Armory Archives. They swapped it out and brought the IQ instead. Well, here it's being subbed in for this site, I'd imagine, to try and deal with all these mute jammers and the Mozzie pests, which are causing them quite a headache as they can't find out where players like PSK are, catching them on the flank, things like that. They need to get some more control back here at MIBR in this round if they're going to end the half at 4-2. Even then, still a defender victory, you would argue. Anything worse? A massive crushing defeat for MIBR.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think there's potentially some issues with the information gathering. I think they're going in blind a lot of the time, or that's certainly how it appears. They're not always aware of exactly where the challenges are going to come from. We can see again a lot of utility being expended here in round 6 up in the security room, just showing how important it is to keep hold of that for this custom site. Last time they had 2 men playing in there, did Liquid, and they did a very good job of holding onto it as well. They did lose a man early in the round. I think it was the round where IQ got a long range kill from the ventilation units, but I'm sure that they will be aware of that line of sight now, and they'll be keeping themselves out of danger as best they can.
Steady start where there's been no crazy jump outs as you'd expect. I mean, we did see in the first couple of rounds a bunch of jump outs coming through. The 2 kills in the first round really set the tone, I think, for MIBR and reinforcing they need to bring this Nomad with them. But since then, we haven't seen too much craziness ensuing. I imagine the threat of there being these air jabs around is keeping Liquid inside the building. But otherwise, it's always been one of those rounds where we find the kills start happening after the first 60 seconds have elapsed. It's a little bit quicker than Clubhouse, but still not the crazy chaos that many would probably be used to from LATAM.
1 minute gone and small progress made. Cyber is inside of Fountain and is in a position to start pushing forward and potentially challenging PSK. We saw PSK have a good game from here. I think it certainly will be. Strafe saying 82% expecting an MIBR win here, and I'm sure they're very happy with how the first map went, but maybe not so much the second. We can see Sexy Cake and Novice just opposite sides of the wall from each other. I'm sure that they won't be aware that that's the case. Novice getting on the drone there and just having a look to see if there's anything that he can gain from that, any information that can be found. Sexy Cake needs to be aware that there is a drone hovering around, but hasn't yet entered the ventilation and the workshop side of things there to pick up his location, so it's going to continue. But it looks like Novice just takes a peek through a bullet hole and gets a great kill onto Sexy Cake, and that will leave us in a 5 versus 4. MIBR start to try and collapse, but Pala and Moringa are having none of it. Kills coming through onto M King and Novice, and that puts them straight back in the driving seat. 4 versus 3 at this point. 1 minute to go, and MIB are all out of answers.
They're a little bit stuck here now as well. Your soft breach has gone from the upstairs, which of course is so critical for this assault. The IQ helps to get rid of the jammers and things like that. They'll bring down Pala. They'll even find Nesk on the other side. They're saying we don't care about all that. We just want to find kills. This is a game where you click on heads and people die. Who would have thought it? Now they've got one creeping inside of the room with them as well, but PSK with a great toggle onto Cyber is going to find him there. Nice and easy, bringing us down to a 2 versus 2, and Liquid are so low right now. A breath of wind will be enough to knock them over if you are lucky. They're trying to keep themselves more tucked away, get down on those angles, and just wait for the drops to come through from members of MIBR.
Hugzord just working the angles from the hatch there, is going to drop into sight. He's in a position where he could think about getting a plant down. Out comes the C4, but it will be meaningless. PSK gets one onto Bullet. Time is running down. All that Moringa has to do is survive. Oh! He does more than that. He gets the kill onto Hugzord, and that will be round number 6 going in favour of Team Liquid. 5-1 now, and this one is quickly running away from MIBR.
That final kill could be more important than they know. If this half looks to go 4-2, as you would probably expect, again, lose the off-site, win the 2 primary sites, repeat that twice. That's how most halves tend to go. It being 5-1 could be the big difference maker that sees this series go onto Coastline. We've already seen one of these teams play that today. It's a bit chaotic at points, but it's going to be an explosive end to this upper bracket final if that's the way it carries on. And look at PSK again, 10-2 on the scoreline. Incredible stand-up performance from him so far on this map.
An interesting point to be made about Hugzord there. He's currently on 1 kill. That was his 1 kill. But that shows the skill of a good defensive anchor. He plays in sight, so he's not at the minute. We haven't seen much play onto sight, so we haven't seen much opportunity for him to get into gunfights. So it would be very easy at this stage of the game for him to be sort of cooling off a bit, for him to, he's not been shooting, he's not really been taking too many challenges on. He's probably been getting shot on vertical angles, long range kills. So he comes in there, he's the last man alive, he has to stay alive, he's challenged directly and he wins his one and he gets the round for the team. And that is sometimes the skill of those support defensive anchor players.
That's all you really need it to become. So let's see how things change now. Of course, we have switched sides. For MIBR, you want to start things off good. You want to find a win. It sounds like it's very obvious. That's because it is. Of course, you want to start getting the momentum going in your favor. You need to put a dent in the momentum behind PSK, dare I say right now. You need to slow him down and stop him from fragging out as much as he is if you want to find a way back into the game in this half. A bit of a split defense coming up from them, holding down Office with a couple. The north side, of course, being held down by the rest of the team. As for the attack from Liquid, taking on towards the south and the west side right now, even got PSK spawning all the way across onto the east, if more so to make sure they can get some extra drones in on different parts of the map, I imagine.
So 30 seconds into the round, we're going to see what Liquid can do differently on the attack here. How can they mix things up compared to what MIBR did? Because MIBR's attacks, unfortunately, just lacked any sort of venom. Just checking that sandwich area near triple wall there, he will see that there is a mute jammer on there to prevent the entry in. I think he did get a view of Hugzord as well, who does have the C4 in hand, but won't be looking to put it to any immediate use just yet. Obviously, the push could potentially come through Office, it could potentially come through security. We can see that at present they are trying to hold both of them. It looks like the pressure is going to be applied more to the Office side, given that there is only one man in there. Take that and then worry about the two that are in security.
By the looks of it, they might be pushing 3 here on towards looking on the east side, and the only man currently sat there on this side is the mute for MIBR. They are going to start getting this wall open. Of course, mute jammers are no use at this point, so it's a case of backing away, and rightly so. That is what he has done, but he's being pinched in now by this window to the north. You see Moringa hanging outside. A couple of grenades in the right place might just do him a good favor here. I can't see any ADSs inside this room. Got to be very wary when this collapse does come in from Liquid. Needs backup from his team when they start going for the push, and that might be the call here. More drones coming in. I do like this from Liquid again. Multiple times today, we've seen them just wasting drones for no real reason. At least this time around, they're taking things nice and slow.
First nade will take out the Maestro cam, but the call out must have come that Mute is in there, in and around the B-bomb. So is Sledge going to take the option here? Will Moringa have a look and see at getting another nade over the top there? Here it comes, he pulls the pin. Moringa just drops out of there in time as it's a perfectly thrown nade. Sorry, Hugzord drops out just in time to avoid that thermite charge. It does look to go off, but I think it will be impact tricked, so that will not be successful. Nesk, potentially, if he just takes a shot there, there is the potential for a kill, but Bullet just moves away at the very last second and keeps himself alive. Shots will come in through Fountain. He knows that there's somebody there. Shots are being exchanged. Nobody's sure where anybody is. Novice gets the first kill onto Moringa, almost 2 minutes 40 into the round. Pala will pick one up onto Bullet. We're going to ensue with a bloodbath here as Novice gets one onto Nesk, and that now leaves us in a 3 versus 2 with the diffuser on the ground cold now. Pala with one onto Cyber, but Hugzord and Cyber managed to get them themselves. PSK must have been downed, and that will finish the round for MIBR.
Much like the bloodbaths that we saw in the dying seconds on Clubhouse as well. No real early kills coming through for either side. It was just very peaceful for the most part. More intel being collected on every side. And some smart play by Moringa to drop out on the mute as well and dodge that one. Sorry, by Hugzord to drop, I should say. It was the other way around earlier on, of course. That was what?
That was my fault.
What was it?
I called Hugzord wrong.
You're in my head.
I've put it in your head. That's it. I'm in your head.
This is the problem. So we can all now blame Tim for every error we ever make in our lives. This is the way I like it.
Away. So heading towards round number 8 then. 5-2 in favour of Team Liquid, and this is an exciting fixture that we find ourselves in the middle of. Obviously, MIBR took that first map on Clubhouse, and they had a fantastic overturn. They went 4-2 on the first half. They didn't let it faze them, came back and did extremely well. They've just taken their first defensive round round after going 5-1 down. It's something they're familiar with. They went 5-1 down to G2. Were they scared then? Absolutely not. They came back and won the second half 6-0. Can they do it again here? Can they pull out the comeback that they've become so famous for during this OGA Pit minor? It is all on the board. It's all there to be done, but it's not going to be an easy one. They're down in Ventilation Workshop now, but if they are successful down here, they have to take on one of those difficult third sites.
This is more about what I expected to see. Again, relatively common for this site sometimes, and for when you're playing Bathroom Tellers, to hold the upstairs. You bring a castle and lock off most of the upstairs and basically prevent them taking over office altogether. You open up certain holes looking into doorways and prevent the attackers from just being able to push in by sheerly holding the fact that you can see their feet before they can see your head aiming at their feet, and of course can pull that trigger a little bit quicker. Now, because we are across the west side, I imagine you're going to see the castle trying to do a more stage hold downstairs here, which I think is where Hugsword is playing. Has got a couple of castle panels going up down there. If nothing else, to try and slow them, I think, and giving himself some safety inside the bathroom will mean that he can rotate out of there when he comes under too much pressure.
We can see we've got 3 MIBR players currently on the top floor looking to hold things down for as long as they can. We've got Valkyrie up there. Novice, I'm sure, has got some cams out. We don't have an IQ on the board, so it is going to be down to the Liquid players to just eyeball them, spot them out, try and find them and take them down. If not, that information can be absolutely vital. Valkyrie will just get peeked out there. We can see that Novice has actually moved downstairs and is just in that supply and customs area. Moringa looking to see if he can get a view, but he's just blocked out by the wall there. He's going to throw a nade. Can he hit this? This could be absolutely beautiful. What a shot that is with the nade. Moringa onto Novice, and it's just that excitement that you feel when you found somebody on the cams, and he just gets in there and finds a solution to the problem of the wall blocking his path.
I was speaking about this yesterday, where you know someone's not going to move for 10 seconds and you go sprinting forever and still manage to find the head. And I watched it back actually in chat, and someone was like, yeah, he's right, that is really satisfying. That is the definition of satisfaction. Moringa there, he knows he's landed a right doozy. He's absolutely smashed it out the park there. That's the Valkyrie done and off the cards. Still useful, but there'll be no C4 to play from below, which could be a big one when they're trying to clear the upstairs.
I feel like a Valkyrie death is only ever really it's like a 75% kill to me, because when she's off, she's then just bang on those cams. And I know everybody can use the cams, but she's got a really good knowledge of where those cams have been placed and exactly what they're looking at and what the intention is with them. So I think when you get that Valkyrie player killed out, they are just so valuable as a dead player on the cams, feeding information in, that I don't always class it in my mind as like a 100%. They've still got so much value that they can add to this round. We are currently at 3 versus 3 as it stands, 3 versus 2. Moringa coming in, having a fantastic game so far and a great round here, doing exactly what his team needs. Top floor control is now Liquids. They can start applying vertical pressure, but they don't have all day to do it. Sexy Cake with a kill onto M-King. It's all down to Hugsword now on the castle. The collapse is going to have to come onto site. He just needs to survive for the time being. Force Liquid to make a move, force them to get a plant. He moves around as the plant is about to start, and PSK is watching the angle. Great cover from him. No surprise, he's absolutely flying this map so far, and he gets another kill to his name.
We need to see MIBR repeat what Liquid did now, as we are at match point. They need to win every single round. Henceforth, that means correcting the mistakes they made on that last site next time they come around to play it, and winning on customs and supply. Now again, Vertical Hole was the name of the game coming through for Liquid. I expect MIBR will be trying to play exactly the same. Like them though, they are also bringing this Kaid, so I'd quite like to see where he sets up this time around as well. See where he's placing down with those electric claws to prevent potentially. Going to switch out with the 6th pick though, and instead go over onto the Alibi.
At the minute, I feel like PSK just is the difference right now. If you look at the kills across the board for both teams, they're very, very similar, but you've just got PSK head and shoulders above, currently on 11, and he's stepping up exactly when his team needs it. He got the final kill there, just holding that angle. You know, if he chooses to look towards Workshop, chooses to look towards the waiting area corridor, maybe he loses his life there, but it just seems at the minute like he's just predicting that movement very well. He's picking up on where these players are likely to be pushing from, and he's getting himself the kills there. round number 9, and we will be moving into customs and supply. MIBR deciding that ventilation was definitely not the site for them. I think that's a reasonable decision. They were pretty much summarily dismissed from there. It was no messing about whatsoever. All the way from that first nade kill from Moringa, it just went downhill from there very, very quickly. So they're going to try something a little bit different, but they're still going to have to hold the top floor, which they were completely unsuccessful with last round.
Very curious to see where the Alibi chooses to play here as well, because Huxord isn't exactly one of the largest fraggers on the team. I believe he's currently 2-6 or 2-7 when it comes to the kills. Not really the big standout player you look for in his team. He's just a support player at the back doing his job, playing on the drones more often than not, playing things like the smoke, played the kite a couple of times, played mutes once as well, Castle in the last round, and now he's onto an operator that's a 3-speed, has a pretty decent gun, has impacts to be able to go for fast rotations. It's definitely more of an aggressive pick for him. Now, with the gadget, you can afford to play more defensive and stick to that more supportive style. But again, that lack of armor does mean you need to be hitting those crucial shots early on.
He's just the support.
Just the support.
You're part of the problem, Des.
Cheers, mate. It made me feel bad for it, right? I know you're part of this whole supports lives matter too and all this stuff, right? I've heard it.
Be part of the change you want to see in the world, Des. So heading into round number 9 proper now. We are a minute into the round and progress is being made towards the site. We've got Nesk and Sexy Cake out on the south balcony. They will be joined by PSK. Moringa moving carefully up to site as well. We've got M-King playing in the 90 corridor. Cyber is with him in the security room. They know how important this room is. I've said it before. I'm sure that I will say it again before I am done casting, that security is almost essential to a successful hold here in customs and supply. We can see the utility starting to go out. No ADSs as they have now been burnt. But how about that for a C4? Double kill from Novice. PSK will get one meanwhile onto Cyber. PSK now has control over the security area, but could that double kill be too much? Could it be too many men off the board? Liquid have the control that they need. They can start applying the vertical pressure to site. Novice is going to be a very important part of the rest of this round because he's off site at the minute. He cannot be dealt with vertically from the security control that they've got. Bullet in armory as well needs to be cleared out and dealt with. If those two players aren't dealt with, then this security control is going to mean very little.
I think it's pretty clear to say that with those two down, the soft breachers, the gunners, Impala and Nesk off the Ash and the Zofia, this is going to make things very difficult for the remaining members, unless, of course, PSK can step up and do wonders that he has been working so far. They have this vertical angle to work with, but with the destruction works taking place upstairs now to try and get more sightlines down, they still know there is a long road ahead, a lot more work to do to try and unseat these defenders, like you say, most of which aren't playing below them, but instead are playing off-site.
So 20 seconds remaining. Liquid now have to come up with a plan. There's the drop. Novice will see it on the Valkyrie. Looks the challenge. Lots of shots missed by PSK there, but we can forgive him as he picks up 2 kills. One with a Claymore, one with the gun. Leaves us in a 1 versus 2, but Diffuser needs to go down. No, so it was 2 versus 2. M-King with a kill onto Moringa. Sexy Kate planting will surely be found. Comes off the Diffuser, but it is too late. Huxord will get the headshot, finish things off, and that is round for MIBR. They were very fortunate that Novice got that double nitro kill to begin with, because as that happened, security control was gained. If that happens with 5 men on the board, then I think we've got a different situation there.
Absolutely agree. So call it luck, call it good timing and preparation, whichever way you look at it. It does extend the lifeline a little bit more for MIBR. It's still 6-3. They still cannot make a mistake, or it is map number 3. Both teams will have won the other team's respective map pick, which will make things very interesting in the grand scheme of things for this best of 3. So as it stands, PSK is 14-4, just casually after 9 rounds. That's a lot, is the best way I can summarise it.
He's the difference right now. He is the difference. As I say, if you look through that scoreboard, he's the one that stands out. Everybody else on both sides are on similar volumes of kill. It looks like we've had us a little swap around there, Des. You did question whether the 82% was genuine.
That sounds more correct.
Throwing it back up there, and that looks a bit more like what we might have expected with Liquid coming into this as heavy favourites.
Thank you,
but looking at the performance that we've seen, maybe not justified. MIBR have played some very good Siege. They've taken themselves the first map unexpectedly. They're certainly fighting back now. They're not rolling over and giving this to Liquid easily. That much is fair to say. We're back onto the Armory objective. This is one that MIBR have already won on the defence, so you might expect them to do so again. If that's the case, it's 6-4 and start, you know, maybe putting a bit of pressure on Liquid in this fixture.
Quite possibly, but I think it's pretty fair to say that Liquids are the favourites of Liquids. Liquid are the Liquids, we'll call them, the players, the Liquids. They are the favourites to win over MIBR in the grand scheme of things this tournament. They are the ones, I think everyone has their eyes on saying this is the team that's going to go to the finals and are going to win, now that many of the other teams have been knocked either into the lower bracket or were knocked out entirely yesterday, as was the case with all the EU teams. And the scoreline on this map would suggest that they have good reason to think that. Maybe on the last map you disagree a little bit more. But MIBR are 3 rounds away from forcing overtime. And if we've seen anything from LATAM teams, it's that second maps and overtime are a very synonymous thing. It may yet go that way. We'll see if Liquid can close things out sooner than that.
In come the drones then, just going to look for anybody that might be roaming downstairs. Not really a tactic that we've seen played from the LATAM teams here on Border. Quite frequently we'll have a pulse playing downstairs because so much of this floor is destructible. Everywhere other than Fountain, which is in the bang centre of our screen at the minute, is destructible. So Pulse can have an absolute field day down there with the Nitro cells, as can Mozzie, as can Mute. But it looks like we've got much more of a focus on actual site defences here today. Moringa on the archives window, just holding himself back there, probably on the drones on and off, just seeing what information can be gained. He's just going to hold himself there for the time being. He's going to take out... Oh, very close to actually taking Hugzord out this time around. The first nade last time was for the Maestro cam. This time it was the second nade, and I like that. I think he switched that up purposely because Hugzord thinks the first one's going to come in for the Maestro cam. So he doesn't move and only gets out of the way at the last second. He is being seriously pressured now as the X-Kairos pellets do a small amount of damage as they explode and take out that reinforcement. The line of sight is open. Liquid making good progress.
Exactly the same as last time, though. A very similar setup, albeit Liquid are being a lot more cautious in taking over Office. Last time round, it was getting the grenades in, forcing them out of sight, then taking over Office and going for the push in West from there. Now, PSK is going to find the opening kill onto Hugzord to at least give a small advantage over. The second kill comes in from Nesk as he brings down Novice as well. So immediately, we are seeing them start to pull ahead here, but... the end of the round is what we're all looking towards. There's another kill coming through. Okay, now it's starting to really heat up for them as they have a 3-man advantage and 25 seconds left on the clock. Cyber's trying to push aggressively but gets caught out. Liquid take it. They will close down Bank, force it to 1-on-1, and finally, the LATAM teams are going to a best of 3 after 2 2-0s today.
Nesk and PSK moving in and getting 4 out of 5 kills in that final round there, and they really were the duo on that map, not there to mess about at all. PSK has put up some huge numbers there. I think he's finished on 16 off the top of my head with his final kills counting in that round. He really did mean business there.
I love how you look at the players even now, and there's no kind of big, yeah, we did it, ooh, go us. Like, they're actually just being quite calm about it because they know there is a third map coming up. They know how important it is to win this. Yes, you drop into the lower bracket final if you lose. It's not the end of the world, but you still want to be the team going in with that one map advantage. I really can't stress how important that is going into a grand final.
Of course you do. It's the first huge step taken towards winning this whole thing, you know, and if you come away, as we've said countless times now, there is a cash prize. There is a spot at the Invitational on the line. This is a big, big tournament to be winning, and taking in that sort of advantage is big, and there's no way that Liquid wanted to walk away from this being too odd. You've also got to remember, whoever loses here goes into a lower bracket final. Again, they don't want to be going into that on the back of a bad loss. They want to at least be competitive and push it to that third map.
And think about the other two teams now who have faced off down there. Of course, seeing the Space Station watching this thinking, oh, it's time. We can watch them play 3 maps and see what it is that they do. And in fact, a couple of people have observed already behind the scenes that these LATAM teams tend to do the same thing time and time again. So if you're watching attentively, you can pick up on those small little cues. But on that cue, we are going to a short break. And when we come back, it's Coastline to determine who is your first team in the grand finals and who falls down into that lower bracket. We'll see you in about 10 minutes.